Please make sure you go over to YouTube, subscribe, or you can always find us on any of the podcast platforms, and that's Fostering Change. Well, you know what? It's hard to believe that we have another episode of Fostering Change. The year's almost over, and I can tell you that it has been what a crazy year. To be voted the #1 podcast in foster care and adoption for the third year in a row. I keep saying it all the time. It's my producers, and it's the amazing guests that I have. And my next guest, I am so, so excited about. I actually saw my next guest on America's Got Talent. Anybody know who knows the Scheers? They know that is our favorite show. We have watched it for many, 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 many years. But then when I saw my next guest, Zion, on the show, I just was overwhelmed. And I immediately reached out to my producers and I said, I have him on our podcast. And sure enough, ladies and gentlemen, I want everyone, please meet Zion Clark. Zion, welcome to Fostering Change. Buddy, let me tell you
what's
something.
up, man? How you doing?
I'm a little bit fan crazy right now over you. So I'm telling you something. I read your book. Absolutely unbelievable what you do. Unbelievable. One of the things that I will say that has not been able to leave my mind is you made a quote and you said, "You do not have to have feet to make footprints." Where did that
Yeah,
come
man,
from?
absolutely. I just, it's just a thing, it's something it's real short and sweet, but it's like its power rings throughout the land, and it's a thing that, just no matter who you are, where you come from, what your predicament is, your level of impact can just reach anywhere, and your footprint or your legacy can leave a mark for the rest of time.
Yeah, it's something I say all the time, Zion, to my kids is that your legacy is about what you give and not about what you take. And
Yeah.
I see that as I read your book and as I have been following you. One of the things I want our listeners to know about is I'd like to start from the beginning. I mean, here you actually were in the foster care system. Let's talk about that. The fact is as a little boy, do you consider yourself with a disability?
No, not really. Even as a kid, man, kids, I used to play football in the street with a helmet on the concrete with like the other kids around the neighborhood. And if I wanted to do something, I figured it out. If I wanted to ride a bike, I figured it out. If I wanted to do something, I just figured it out. And it's one of those things where, yeah, I have a disability. Yeah, I was different, but different is being different is circumstantial. You can be different and not have any sort of disability. You could be equal or more greater than somebody with a disability. And it's just how you see it, how you perceive things.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I tell people all the time, it's like the system, don't blame the system, help me change the system, and
Yeah.
and that's something I see you are doing that work, that you're really trying to get people to understand, our system is truly shattered, as you know that. I have a really quick question, and I asked this question because my son asked me to ask you this. What did it feel like when you got on the America's Got Talent?
Ah, man, it was fun. It's a cool time. It's something fun to do. I don't think the most of the world knew I could rip on a drum set like that.
I
So,
was It's crazy.
I've been rocking like that since I was 3 years old, and people don't understand that. Like, yeah, I just never. Sometimes it just takes an opportunity to show what kind of skill you got to be put on that world stage.
Yeah. The fact is that you spend so much of your time as a motivational speaker, going all over the country, all over the world, and really motivating people to really, as I say, live their dream. What got you started in doing that?
Man, I was in college. I was at Kent State, and I was like in the height of my wrestling career there at the school, and it was one of those things where I was in class. I was partying every weekend. Typical college frat boy student. So I was just like living my life. Next thing you know, I'm in class, and athletic director pulls me out of class. I'm thinking like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. And like usually if you're in college and an AD pulls you out of class, like it's usually it's not good. So I'm like sitting in his office and he sets down these big stack of papers and I end up reading like like at least 50 to 100 letters, all these kids from Syria. And at the time, the war was reaching its climax, and a lot of these kids were escaping their families, being sent out to the United States. And in Akron, Ohio, there was one of those makeshift schools set up. Akron's only about 20, 30 minutes away from where I was at going to college. And they wrote all these letters, and it moved, not even kind of, it did move me. And I ended up going to this school. All these kids, they had lost their families, they had lost their siblings, their families had been blown up, killed right in front of them, like, and the only way their family line would survive of them being sent over here. And so they had watched my Netflix documentary, and they all wrote me letters, drew me pictures. And mind you, in college I was broke, so like I had no money whatsoever. I had like just enough for my food stipends. And so like I was at the athletic director. I was like, hey man, I was like, I have no money. Like I have nothing. Only thing I have is my skill and my voice. What can I do? And next thing you know, I was talking in front of like 50 to 100 kids. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just previously failed public speaking. And so like I was real nervous, but next thing you know, like I killed it. It was fun. It was an incredible experience. And ever since then, man, I've blown it up to now I'm on the world's biggest stages.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great. As a public speaker, I always laugh. I was a banker for 28 years, so I never in a million years thought
Yeah.
I'd ever stand up on a stage and be a public speaker. And now that I do that for a living, it's almost not like a job. It's
No,
literally.
dude, it's so fun. It's fun. You know
I
what I
know.
mean?
It's like, one of the things, and I know we have our time is very short. I know you're really busy, and I just want to thank you so much for getting on and being able to
Absolutely.
speak, to meet you. I know that you and I are going to do some things, in the future. But your book, Work What You Got. I will have to tell you, everybody, I'm trying to hold it here on my screen so you can see it. As you can tell, I got some tabs in here. Anybody who has watched my podcast for the last 5 years, they know if the book comes on and it's got tabs, it's one of my favorites. It definitely is going to be on that shelf. Listen, listening to the kids that we have in our system right now, and I hear you talk about you go to college, and we know the fact that only 3% of kids in foster care will actually graduate from college. What do you think we need to do? What do we need to change, my friend?
I think we need to set up systems to really help these kids get a stable grip on life. Like there are certain different programs that each foster care system has, but me personally, like they don't always work. So I'm thinking that like for instance, like having more access to healthcare, having better access to psychological care and like therapists and mental health and everything to help these kids feel comfortable in their home setting. And on top of that, evaluate the homes, of like not just once a month, maybe like especially for a new family, check up for the first 6 months of the stay, even damn near the first year, the first whole year that they're there, check up twice a month, 3 times a month, just to be like, hey, everything's okay, you feeling comfortable, and don't have the parents there when they ask those questions. Because me as a kid, when my foster parent was there, and I was asked, hey, how are things going? I was terrified to say the real answer
Yeah.
because there was the threat of getting my ass beat, and I just didn't want that. So like I want these kids to feel like they're in a safe, comfortable setting where they can express themselves. And that's foremost the number one and most important thing. Let them be able to express themselves. Because at the end of the day, kids aren't born corrupt. We corrupt kids.
That's
The
exactly
world
right.
corrupts kids.
That's
And so
exactly
we
right.
need and so we need to like line up systems so that these kids are comfortable, they're getting the help they need, and if they're not getting into homes, make sure that they're still able to have the type of skills they need. So even if they don't get adopted, that they can still go out in the world and live fulfilling lives.
Yeah, I agree. Everything, you hit the nail on the head, my friend. You really did. I agree with you. I feel there's no accountability within our system. We put a child in a total stranger's home thinking that stranger's going to take care of them. And you and I both know,
Yeah.
because we both have come from those type of homes where I always felt like it was going to be worse going somewhere else. So why not be there in the hell that I was in at that point, And so,
Yeah.
And so many kids feel that way. Well, listen, Zion, I will tell you, I can't thank you enough, my friend, for taking time out, pulling over on the side of the road, jumping on Fostering Change. Listen, everybody, the book is Work What You Got. Do me a big favor. I'm gonna have the link here for you to be able to get it. Go over. If you have not watched Zion's YouTube video on Netflix, Netflix video, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. I'm gonna have a link there, Zion, for people to do it. And once again, thank you, my friend, for being a good human.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you. Same to you, man. Listen, we're the people that are going to change this thing. So
you better believe it. We'll do it together, my friend. You take care.
You too, man.
Thanks for tuning in to Fostering Change. You can actually watch a couple of episodes right here.